You want to grab attention. You want to pull your audience in. You want to pull your clients in. This is what you're going to do. You're going to lead first. You're going to go first. We are in the second week of momentum, and a lot of my clients have reached out to me. I did XYZ. Because we're doing a weekly challenge along with the daily to-dos. And I did XYZ. This blew my mind. I can't believe I did this. Like so many things like this. And the reason I come up with these challenges is because I do them first. When I led back in March to do a challenge to, transform my own life and push outside of my comfort zone, other people joined me. I went first. Someone who has created over 10,000 videos. I'm not going to say I'm a video expert. I'm not even going to say that. But I have been willing to put myself out there and learn and model and test and do all of these things. When my clients needed help with launching and selling, for the longest time, I was one of those people who was like, nope, I hate launching and selling. I hate launching and selling. And I didn't talk about launching and selling until I got really good at it. And I've launched over 40 months in a row, every single month. Now, those launches have looked very different, right? I have let's organize and streamline every little piece of the launch and make sure all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. And I've also launched with, let's fill into this. Let's do it. I would say this is probably called the feminine, idea of launching, right? It's very feely. It's really, really like the energy that I have and that I bring to it. But over 40 times in a row consecutively. Sometimes I've launched more than once a month. I have created over 50 programs, and that means not only creating them, coming up with the conception, right? Coming up with the branding, coming up with the curriculum, and delivering it. I go first. I'm not telling anyone to do anything that I'm not willing to do. We had a program last month called Visible and In Demand, and we really looked at how we show up on video. We really looked at our tonality and our words. One of the things that I noticed was I think a lot, or I feel. And I realized I get to shift that because it's I know. If I'm teaching you, if I'm on a live video, if I'm talking about it, if I think or I feel, right, then make that be true. And also, if I'm solid and I know, I get to say, I know. Again, I go first. I remember years ago reading a book. Her first name is Vanessa, but there's Q's and she has another one. They're both really, really good. And you can learn so much about how you show up in person. You can learn so much about how you show up on video and things that make people question, right? Is this person trustworthy? And also things that really help build trust with your audience. Again, I read that book. I didn't immediately go teach it. I started implementing it. I started doing it. I have all my clients, I won't say all of them, but a lot of them getting on YouTube. Why? Because I went first. I found a path that worked. I found a way to really create growth. There's been massive growth over the last 60 days for me from what I've normally seen over the past 5 years. Again, I go first. This isn't to be like, oh, look at me, look what I've done. It's to be like, this is what I've done and why I have the authority and why I'm a thought leader in the space, because I don't just say, let's get visible. I actually do the doing. John Maxwell, I saw him at a conference last weekend. And one of the things he said is everybody wants the result, but nobody wants to do the diddying, the doing, right? He said when it comes to what they did part, right? Nobody wants to do that. They just want the result. They just want the dream. They don't want the journey. They just want the dream. They don't want the work that goes with it. And I'll never forget a coach saying this. Become a student of your own work. Become the best student of your expertise, meaning that I'm not going to sit here and say, I know everything. I don't need to learn anymore. I know everything. I invest in a lot and I learn every single time I invest. I learn every single time I read a book, even if I've seen these things said to me before. I'll never forget that podcast in June of 2022, June 17th of 2022. I remember it because it was so powerful to me. And I listened to it like 3 times. I was on a walk. It's a beautiful sunny day. And I was on a walk and I kept listening to it, kept listening to it. I started sending it to my clients. And I was like, this podcast is changing my life. It's changing my life. Nothing in that podcast was it the first time I heard it. I had heard all of it before, but put together in that context and saying it in the way that it was said and putting it in that perfect order and the way that it was suggested to me, it changed my life. Because on that day, I decided to go on a 365-day journey of doing uncomfortable actions. I would not have been able to do that had I not listened to that podcast in that moment, and it was saying it in the sequence that it was in the frequency that it was in, and I heard what I needed to hear in that moment. So yes, things that you've heard before can change your life. Yes, being a student of your own work can also change your life. Yes, I don't tell my clients to go do things or suggest that they go do things if I'm not willing to do them myself. Go first energy. It is pure leadership. I was talking to a client today about shame, and a lot of people have shame around money. A lot of people have shame around a lot of different things. And she was like, you need to teach on that. And I never thought about it. I told her about a situation that I was in where I felt a lot of shame and how for 6 months I allowed the shame to own me. And then I said, you know what? This is actually not how a leader acts. Like, I'm going to go handle this. Is it hard to handle those things? Absolutely. But I am the biggest believer that if we are in the online space, if we are showing up, if we are visible, if we own a business, if we are a CEO, if we're an entrepreneur, you are here to transform, help, protect, change someone's life. And so therefore, if you are not willing to take a leadership role, which is all starts with you, right? It's I go first energy. I lead myself first. If I'm not willing to lead myself, I'm not going to lead anybody else. If I'm not willing to shift my mindset several times of the day or recommit to my business or myself or my goals several times a day, if I don't have that go first energy and I can't do that for myself, how am I supposed to do that for anyone else? It's a game changer. It is an absolute game changer. So if you're teaching people something, I highly suggest you show up as the leader. You show up as the best student of your work, that you go first. You go first. See how it changes the game for you. You know, there's so much smoke and mirrors and distrust online. But I'm going to tell you, when you go first energy, when you decide that you are the best student of your work there is out there in the world, when you model with integrity and you have standards that you live by, it's going to be a game changer. So I suggest you go give it a try. I suggest you go first. I suggest if you want to create massive impact and influence, lead yourself first. Be the student of your work. Have that I go first energy and watch everyone around you how they change, how they